Thanks, Chair. I think I'll be very brief. Number one, Chair, let's start. Let me ask the question about, you asked the question about, on the third, that when when the deputy chair of the board spoke about the legal advice and the change to a from what is called special leave to a suspension. When was Mr. Letsoalo given notice? Because you were given an assurance that he has already been served. So when we met, that's the first question. The second issue, did the letter of suspension ask him to provide reasons? Ask him to provide reasons within certain period of why he shouldn't be suspended. That's the second issue. Thirdly, Chair, I want to know in terms of the legal fees that we're talking about. I think the board mentioned earlier on that they have this milestone of 50 billion rands that has never been done before in terms of putting that money in the hands of claimants. That's what the chair says. And I think that you presented to, when we were at the RAF, you presented about the growth in that claims thing, and what you think the trend is. And finally, Chair, I think what I want to ask is the support that the RAF, because I heard you talking that there are all these, the bill is there, amendment, the RAF Amendment Act and everything is sitting at the DOT, the advice that the board should be giving. What support has the DOT given to the entity during this entire period? I think when the board was trying to make, or rather the board and management was trying to make all these changes, did you get support? Did you meet with the minister, or did you meet separately with the deputy minister on behalf of the minister? I think for me that will give me a sense of the support that you get. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Chair, the acting CEO spoke of a saving of 50 billion rands, or not a saving. He said there was 50 billion rands that was paid to claimants. Now, the money that was saved there, I wanted to ask the CEO. That's the first question. Where did that money go? What was, or where did they get that money? Where was the saving coming from? I don't know if I'm making sense, Chair. Okay, that's one. And then I wanted to ask the board chair, but you said I must hold it with those questions. Now, I'm not even sure if it's the correct person is the former CEO to ask this question. The question is, when the initial decision to suspend you was taken by the board, do you know if there was a full sitting of the board or not? And if it wasn't, who was there and who was not there? The next question, did the board approve the lease agreement with Moana, the lease agreement which basically constitutes bulk of the issues that started this whole interrogation and this whole issue with the CEO? Or was that decision taken by you as the CEO alone? I think, Chair, the problem that we've got here is we've got the APP for performance at RAF sitting at 85% with 50 billion rand paid to claimants. And then we are told that RAF is in chaos. RAF is in a bad place, bad space. But I'm inclined to now start believing the former CEO when he says this is deliberately created. So the question then would be, who are these vultures that are trying to capture RAF? Because there are vultures that are clearly, from what is just said now, and from the circus that we watched earlier, that are trying to destabilize RAF, that are trying to make sure that the RAF is ungovernable, that are trying to make sure that they remove the board, that are trying to make sure that they remove the executive. Now, to the CEO, who are these vultures? CEO, thank you.
No, thank you, Chair. Mine is very few, Mr. Letsoalo. I want to check, do you believe that there's corruption within RAF? And if you believe that there's corruption within RAF, what is your attitude towards corruption. And then the other issue that I want to check from you, in terms of governance, do you see RAF being led properly in a manner in which it's actually supposed to be led as an individual, given the years of leadership that we have been from previous companies or departments where you used to work? Do you see RAF being led properly? Just explain in depth the interference of the ministry, because I think I heard you mentioned something of the interference of the ministry. To what extent, and what does the ministry stand to benefit or want to achieve with the whole thing? And then the other thing that I want to check, it's your security. Every time when I was watching TV the other day, you were interviewed. Half of the time when you get platform, there's no way you speak and you don't touch the issue of your own security. You're always consistent about security, that you are under threat. There are people who are threatening you. Are you aware of those people? Who are those people? Because, Chair, as I conclude, Chair, yes, as I conclude, Chair, because we may take these things very light, and tomorrow we wake up with someone dead who have been telling us that I'm under threat. So I just want to check: are you aware of the people who are threatening your life? Because if they don't get you as a man, you may protect yourself, but you may not be able to protect your kids or anyone close to you. Who are those people? Thank you very much.
Yeah, Chairperson, briefly. CEO, the question has been asked, but I want to elevate it in terms of support from the department. I think the ministry has, in this administration, we've been here for a year now, 12 months. And I asked this on the basis that I've got a letter here from Discovery that was written to the Minister, Barbara. Are you aware of this letter? Did you
Minister
respond?
Chrissy.
Oh, Minister Barbara Chrissy. Yes. Oh, I'm reading verbatim the HS. So apologies about that. Yes. So this letter, CEO, was written by Discovery to the minister, complaining about you and RAF, and they are even claiming here that your conduct to take them to court. It says here, Chair, if I can just read this, if you give me 30 seconds. Discovery Health estimates the loss to the medical scheme industry as a result of RAF and its CEO unlawful conduct. The estimated loss is approximately at 500 million a year. So this is Discovery complaining to the minister that they are going to lose 500 million a year because you are taking them to court. You have won this case. Subsequent. So I want to find out what support did you get from the ministry in regarding to this case, and that speaks to the support that you've received.
I know you have a right to information. I may not want to ask where to get the letter between the ministry and Discovery, which
Discovery gave it to me. The people at Discovery leaked it. So I want to know if the CEO is aware of this letter. And because the RAF has won the case against us, and is he aware of this letter, that there was a letter from Discovery to the minister complaining about him and the entity, and then what would have happened with that? That's one. And then now, CEO, you are accused of signing the court papers litigating against the AG at Constitutional Court. How did that become? How did you end up signing those papers, and why were you the one who signed those papers? And then 3, you have taken RAF to court because of your suspension. What relief are you seeking there in court, if you are able to give us that brief without actually getting into the matters? And maybe lastly, Chair, obviously now you've briefly touched on the precautionary suspension or the leave, the special leave that you were placed by refusing to attend SCOPA. Did you refuse to attend SCOPA? What was happening there? If you can just put us into confidence. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair. But me, very briefly, because I believe, at least finally, the Portfolio Committee has achieved the objective of having Mr. Letsoalo here speak for himself, so that the next time the board comes here and we're to make a determination, it would be out of having a full range of facts. Just for clarity, Mr. Letsoalo, for me, I just need to know about the misconduct allegations around the 79 million lease deal. That's I think that's all I want to know. And I mean, when they speak about misconduct vis-a-vis the turnaround of the entity, it gets a little confusing, especially given the letter that Honorable Blossa has just read, that your misconduct is somehow related to unlawful behavior when it comes to sort of cleaning up the entity. Just in your view, do you think that these types of letters and the misconduct that you're accused of is just like really targeted with your against your attempts to sort of clean up the entity. That's all I would really like to know, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Ngomba.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Chair, most of the issues have been touched. It's only two now left for me. The first one is that Mr. Letsoalo received his the letter of intention or whatever on the 26th of June, if I heard correctly, putting him on compassionate leave, which later changed to special leave, but they committed to call or interact with him on the 30th of May, which they did not communicate. Then you decided to write to them. Were you reminding them of their commitment, or what was the content of the letter that you wrote to them on the 30th? The last one, Chair. After seeing these challenges that RAF is faced with, this instability and all those kinds of activities that are happening there, which office have you informed about that? And also around your security matters, have you reported to the relevant authorities that may assess the situation and ensure that some security provision is made for you? Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Honorable Ntando Matuna.
No, thanks, Chair. Indeed, it's Honorable Ntando Matuna. No, thanks, Chair. Chair, I as well, I will follow suit and be very short. But Chair, I just want to first, perhaps, but I think it's an indulgement that we'll have as a committee afterwards. I'm also as well starting to be worried. I'm not saying that the minister is interfering. There's something in auditing that we usually say, you do not have to interfere, but you must be seen to be not interfering. I believe now there is that thing that now that starts to say there might be an interference, but I believe it's a conversation that we might have at a later stage and the reasons as to why. I have very short questions. Actually, I'm coming to the issue of if you get the timelines. Chair. But my first question would be, because I think Mr. Letsoalo clarifies me, because my first question would have been around the issue of the special leave. Because, Chair, in South Africa, there's nothing as placing someone on a special leave. Because I was there in scope, and the reasons that would have been given would have been that it's because of issues that are related to SIU investigations and so on. And we told them this. They said to us they had received a legal advice. That today they are saying that they seek afterwards, because we told them that you can't place someone on special leave. You apply for special leave, then you are given. When someone is interfering on an ongoing investigation, you put that someone on precautionary suspension. We told them this on the 28th of May, I think, when we were sitting with RAF. Now, my first question to Mr. Letsoalo, one would be, I think I'm covered by would be around the issue of building. There are allegations, Mr. Letsoalo, in the public domain that you went against the recommendations of, I believe it's adjudication and evaluation in the appointment of the building in Joburg, whereby you ended up appointing the building. I think it's the building of the pension fund. That's one. Two, I wanted to check the issue of, because now the reason why I've been asking this, because I want us to have clarity. I wanted to check as well on the issue of accounting standards with HE that has been ongoing. I believe that this was a decision approved by board. I just want to get that clarity. Two, as well, I want on the issue that when the decision was taken that you are going to act as Chief Claims Office, it was board aware of this decision, and I think Chai will say if he's not comfortable of answering certain things. Was board aware of this decision? Because were they aware of this decision? Also, Chai, I think the last question that I would have had would have been the issue of the building, or the issue of default judgment. There is an issue of default judgments in courts whereby you are supposed to be using the what is this legal aid, but local state, yes. At ease. Now, we are told that they go to court and say that they just came here to just observe, not to represent. But can you give clarity to that? And it's estimated that the default judgment that we have accumulated are close to 4 billion. So can we get clarity on that? I'm asking these questions, Chair, so that also the public gets clarity in terms of what is happening. Where are we? I know we'll engage alone on the committee, and then we take a decision in terms of how we move forward. I thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Honorable Maduna. Honorable Malmacha?
No, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Mr. Letsoalo, for availing yourself. Just 3 questions. One, after realizing that you are not safe in terms of the threat that you are getting, have you made some efforts to notify the relevant authorities so to be safe? Because indeed, we will want you to live longer, so to assist to give more information when we deal with the whole issue. The other issue is on your relationship with the ministry, the chairperson of the board, the entire board. Why this? We will really want to have a situation where we know the relationship of the CEOs and the ministers, the deputies and everybody, not just around yourself alone, even other entities, because we will really need, as the portfolio committee, to ensure that there is a good relationship. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves having to cut and chop endlessly. The other issue, Mr. Letsoalo, on this issue of lease, is there a reason why RAF, with sharp monies that is going out left and right, back to center, cannot just acquire a land and have its own properties, rather to be leasing so much, if not huge, millions going out? Is there or are reasons why this cannot happen? Even under your leadership, decisive as you are, but I don't see any attempt of saying at some stage we wanted to have our own land so that we can have our own offices and save this money of the claimants. Because if we continue leasing this way, I don't think we're doing justice to what's supposed to happen. Chair, I think those, maybe to add this one of the SIU, you said and you promised here that you will go bit by bit in it so that we know it's like it's an elephant that we can't know whether it's moving or not. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Just 1 or 2 from me. The claims officer, it is alleged that you acted for a long time as a claims officer, and the board was not comfortable with that in terms of the reports we're getting. Why did it take so long to appoint a claims officer? Because the claims are at the center of RAF's business. Now, why did it take so long? Especially with the background that we hear now that the board was actually not happy with you being the claims officer. I also aware of the particular matter that the claims officer was not, the board was not happy with that, to that effect. We met with you, Mr. Letsoalo, and your board sometime last year in October in your offices, in which meeting all of you projected a sense of united approach to almost all the issues and challenges you're faced with, including the processes thereof that you're actually undergoing at that particular time. We did not get this sense at that particular time of that you are making now of ministerial, the DM, what do you call it? Interference. We also didn't know at that time that the ministry has not appointed a shareholder rep into your board. And these matters did not emerge in that particular meeting, unless I would have missed it, but I went back to check my record today. These issues were not actually there. You were united as executive and as management in terms of your present. What happened? What? I know you would have said there are pressures and so forth, but one would want to really get a sense. At what point? What was the straw that would have broken the camel's back? What would have created this that seems like a very serious dysfunctionality and instability, which borders on the eyes of the public? My last question is, day in, day out, we're undated with a lot of people complaining about non-payments and so forth. And I could even see on social channels now that there are a lot of people who want to ask questions relating to their claimants and so forth. What is the status of claims in your own understanding? And what are the bottlenecks in terms of payments for those who might have been awarded in courts and so forth, but not been paid? If you could assist me with that, I'm safe in my part. And as much as you must be depth, but try to be as summative as possible.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Chair. Honorable Montana, I received my letter at 9:25 a.m., which was about 55 minutes into the meeting, your meeting of the 3rd of June. At 9:28, 9:25, meaning it's about 55 minutes after the meeting started, with a withdrawal letter that was signed at 9:47, and a suspension letter that was signed at 9:51, well into the meeting. So, signed by the chair of the board. Yeah. At 9:27, I received a phone call from the chair, and I did not answer because I was watching. And at 9:28, I received this SMS. It says, "Dear CEO, kindly note there are communication for your attention from the board in your inbox. Regards, Chairperson." I then respond because I didn't see it until later. When I checked my SMS, it was there. Then I answered at 9:48, and I said, "Dear Chairperson, I thought you were not available and had prior commitments. Nevertheless, I'll check my inbox once I've finished watching the PCOT meeting." Her response at 9:50 says, "Dear CEO, yes, I'm committed currently, but I'm able to discharge important things via phone. Kind regards." Then she tries to call me again, and she keeps on calling. So I said to her, "Excuse me, Chairperson, for legal reasons and the fact that our conversations are usually distorted, I would prefer that our conversation for now be reduced to in writing. My apologies. I just think it will be prudent at this stage." That I sent at 9:52. Now, it's up to you, Chair. The deputy chair sat there and said we gave him his letter before we came here. That is not true. So that's when I received my letter. Yeah. So this support, Chair, I've worked at the Department of Transport for 10 years. I think 11 years as a CFO. I know the support we give to entities. It's not something that I know. Honorable Montana would know that when we were doing 2010, we were sitting there with them, asking them what the issues were. AXA would tell you the restructuring of AXA we're involved in. They would tell you, Sandra, even with this e-tolls, we sit and we look at this. And when entities of ours get financial problems, we are very close to them to try and assist them. It doesn't happen to RAF, at least since I've been there. By the way, when I was seconded in 2019 to this establishment, it was because it was collapsing and they were asking for a bailout. That's how I get myself to be there. And I was then appointed by then Minister Mbalula to go and try and turn this thing around. We advise the ministers, they would come to us, they will disagree, we disagree, but I mean, advise people, then either take it or they don't, but they do meet with us. Have we ever met with the minister as the RAF board? No. No, it doesn't happen. Have we ever met with the deputy minister? No. Only once during a, what do they call it? The AGM, the annual general meeting where you bring your, that's a ministerial, it's actually the shareholders meeting, it's not your meeting. We have never met with them. When did the meeting ever happen? Yesterday. And I was not there, Chair. I don't know whether it's a coincidence, but I was not there. This meeting was supposed to actually come and you would see it in each and every meeting of the board. Can Chair please write to the ministry and ask them we want to meet with them? Then the question that lingers in my head is, when people come and say, well, we are going back to the RAPS bill, who's informing them, who's advising them, who's talking to them, how did they arrive at that point? Now, Honorable Gubega asked the question about the 50 billion, how it was saved. 30 billion was in legal fees. 14.5 billion was in medical fees. 4 billion was in payments to foreigners that are not supposed to get the money. And I'm going to come back to this because when we are going to deal with default judgments, you must understand that the Western Cape decision was a rescission. We were rescinding a decision that was taken on default. Now, that's how we made the 50 billion. Of course, there was a panel of actuaries that were charging us 10,000 per calculation. By the way, these medical fees are as a result of the hospitals and medical practitioners charging us 5 times what they charge a medical fee. As I told you, there are, I did not mention this part, there are tariffs that have been sitting with the ministry for more than 2 years. They've not been signed, those tariffs. And it's something that continues to worry us because when those tariffs are there, it means that they can't be implemented. And soon we'll be told that these tariffs are out of kilter, and therefore it's unreasonable to expect people to charge those tariffs. As it happened in the during the Moseneke judgment of 2010, where we were told that we must go back, and I think it